Have you ever known that it was time to make a change, but you weren't really ready? So you kicked that can down the road and put that decision off? That was me until this one particular day. By the time I got home, darkness had already fallen. What I didn't know was it was about to be my third gunpoint robbery. They were already in place waiting for me. They knew who I was, they knew what I had, and they knew my routine. I had spent the day on the road cold calling, and in my trunk was a duffel bag filled with $100,000 of uninsured gold and diamond jewelry. It was our jewelry. It was our business, a small startup manufacturing business that was built by my partner, Frank, and I, built on nothing more than a dream, the American dream, built with 10 years of sweat equity and 50 to 60 to 70-hour work weeks, whatever it took, plus a loan that I hadn't even put a dent in yet. And we used Frank's house as collateral. I pulled into the garage. I turned the engine off, but I left the battery running because I was listening to a recording from a seminar that I had attended the week before. And I was so engrossed in what I was listening to that I wanted to hear the whole thing. So I sat there in the car listening, maybe for an extra 20 minutes until it ended. And then I started to gather my things. I clicked the remote to open the garage door, still putting my things together. And out of the corner of my eye, I noticed the shadow of a man slipping under the garage door. And the next thing I know, he's towering over me. And then whack, he slams his gun against my window, sending a kaleidoscope of broken glass crashing in on me. I'm stunned. I'm frozen in time. The garage door, which is on a timer, closes once again. And I am trapped in my car, in my garage, facing a concrete wall with a man with a gun in my face. Let's talk about change. Here's what I know. No one wants to change. We want our circumstances to change. We want people in our lives to change. We want our weight to change and our health to change. But we don't want to have to do anything to change it because change is hard. And I knew that it was time to change. I knew that it was time for me to leave my business, but I wasn't ready. I needed more time to figure things out. I just needed a little more time. I was quickly finding that time had already run out. Have you ever noticed that when it's time to change, we get a little nudge? And if we ignore it, like I did, we get a push. And if we ignore that, we get clobbered. Well, I was in the clobber stage. In my heart, I knew it was time to leave my beautiful business. But we were finally making money. And I had worked 10 years to make some money. So why would I leave when we're finally making money after 10 years? How could I leave when he depended on me? And he put his house up as collateral. But every day I thought about leaving as I went to work, scouting out new business, hoping that this would be the day that a big company would recognize us and take a chance on us, or maybe even buy us out. I was scared, and rightfully so. You know that things are bad when the trade magazine writes an article telling salespeople that there's a way to get out from inside their trunk when they're locked inside. That's what was going on in the industry at that time. And I was afraid. Whenever I said to my partner, Frank, I'm afraid, I'm thinking of leaving, he'd say to me, Laura, just 5 more years. 5 more years, and you can buy your own house, and I could retire too. And I really wanted that. And so did he. We both wanted our piece of the American pie. And what was I going to do if I left anyway? I mean, this was all I knew. I had spent my life in this industry. And I was single, I was alone. It was just me. How was I going to support myself in a new career? Have you ever been in that kind of situation? Every day, people struggle with that dilemma. I want to leave my marriage, but how am I going to support myself? What will happen to my kids? Will everything be okay? I want to leave my job, but how do I know that I could even find something better? It's the fears, the doubts, the unknowns, and the obligations that keep us stuck, and the lies that we tell ourselves about our own limitations. But on this day, my time had already run out, and there I was with a gun pointed in my face. What happens in the face of danger? First, we're shocked, we're confused, as our brain tries to make sense of what's going on here. And then the survival response kicks in: fight, flight, freeze. And I was frozen. But then the survival response kicks in the state of desperation. And that is a magical state. Now, some people think that desperation is a bad thing, and in some ways it is. But desperation has a flip side, and that was where I was. Because when we are desperate, there is a sense of urgency. Because the brain kicks in and realizes, holy crap, I better do something now, because it's now or never. And that is the door to our personal power. And that's where I was when my brain finally kicked in and said, holy cow, it is now or never. And I heard inside of myself a scream, no, it does not end this way. I don't know if I actually said that out loud, but I know that that decision, that commitment to life echoed through every cell in my brain and my body. And somehow his eyes met mine, and I turned the engine on, and I backed up, and I turned the wheel, and I clicked the garage, and the door opened. And I'm not sure when exactly he popped my trunk and grabbed my bag. But just like in the movies, he jumped into that waiting vehicle and sped off, but not without leaving me with my life intact and 3 precious truths that I want to share with you. 1, when one dream dies, there's another one on its heels. You don't have to know exactly what it is. You don't have to plan for it in advance. You don't have to know all the steps. You just have to follow your heart, follow your dreams, and move forward. 2, there's something about the energy of commitment. When you make that decision to move on, that committed decision somehow puts the right people in place. It clears a path so that the right people, the right situations line up at the right time. And 3, when you make that committed decision, it sets in motion an unstoppable energy that goes to work immediately and overrides your limitations. My name is Laura Temin. My beautiful dream became a nightmare. And when I let go, another dream stepped into place. And I've been living that dream for the last 20 years, helping people break habits, reach goals, let go of the past, and step into the life that they truly want. By the way, that recording that I was listening to that fateful night, it was a hypnotherapy seminar. And that's where I began. You don't have to know where you're going. Just lean in, do your part, and watch the magic happen. Thank you.